As we all know, there are far too many WCA events. So the first one to go should be Clock, because Clock is just not very good. No one likes it. It's a completely different type of, puzzle to the rest. It's not a twisty puzzle at all. It has a high DNF rate because there are no +2s for misalignment. So, we shouldn't have Clock. We should just get rid of it. People don't like it, and they're perfectly justified in doing so. Even though they've never even touched a Clock, there's no reason why they can't dislike it. Then the next one to go should probably be Five Blind. Kiddies don't like it. It's hard. It requires a lot of focus. It takes a very long time at comps, which, removing Clock saves time, so removing this would save even more time, and, it's very difficult, and even if the fact that it's very difficult makes it, quite an impressive feat for people, it's just not really time for that, and, is that really what the WCA wants? And, it's basically just 4 blind with extra pieces, it's like no difference between the two events other than 5 blind's just a bit bigger and it takes longer, it's just 4 blind but longer. Same thing with 7x7 compared to 6x6. Same people do well on both these events, so basically, why have both? It's basically exactly the same. The centres, exactly the same as all centres, edges, and 3x3 stage. The centres, there may be more pieces, but what's the difference? It's basically exactly the same. In terms of other events that take a long time, you've got FMC. FMC takes an hour and it's like an exam. People don't enjoy exams, so, why have it? Takes a lot of focus, and, kiddies don't like focusing, so, it's another event that's not very friendly for brand new young competitors, so why have it? Then you've got Pyraminx. Now, Pyraminx is a very short puzzle. I mean, the kiddies do like it, but it's very short, very simple. And, why have an event that's so trivial since, the world record can be 6 moves long, and it's just solve a V, solve last 4 edges or whatever, and, it's pretty simple. People one-lock it. It's got very chance of getting very lucky singles, so, even someone like myself who averages, 6-7 seconds could get a really fast single if I got the right scramble. Same thing with Scoop. I mean, Scoop was added in 2014 as the newest event, but it was a mistake because, obviously it's so trivial. It's another kiddie event, and, they kind of have enough events. They don't really need many more, And also the short events just, lack depth. As I was saying, this is just learn 131 algs and you're away. That's all you ever need to know if you want to be world class, pretty much, isn't it? Just solve a layer, solve a thing, learn to one look, and, that's it. It's not very much to do in terms of compared to something like 3x3. And, 2x2 is the same. People one-look this event. It's just solve a face, solve a cubes. You just learn a bunch of algs and learn how to learn your AUFs, and then one-look and you're away. That's all you need to be the world class, right? There's not much else you really need to focus on. 3 blind's another event that... multi-blind, sorry, not 3 blind. Takes up a lot of time. It's the same as 3 blind, just with more 3x3s. It's just the equivalent of doing 3x3 relay where you pick as many 3x3s as you want to solve, and it's okay, I'll do 50 3x3 solves and then timing that, what's the difference? One-handed, again, is sort of how 6 and 7 are similar and 4 and 5 blind are. This is just 3x3 with a handicap. You can only use one hand, so it just makes turning harder, and that's about the only thing it does. And you solve exactly the same as you do with a 3x3, you still use CFOP, and there's no difference at all. I mean, maybe you want to have slightly different algs, but I mean, you don't really need to. You can still solve it perfectly exactly the same, and unlike 3 blind, you don't need to change your way of solving in any way, shape or form. Now with Square One is shape-shifting, and it's very hard for beginners to learn, and it's obviously a significantly more complicated puzzle than 3x3. I mean, true, it does only have 16 pieces that have a fixed orientation, and a middle layer that only has 2 positions that is solved trivially. But, it's very, very complicated and hard. You can't just scramble it off the bat. It's so hard to scramble as a, non-cuber. You just have no idea what's going on. You're constantly, locking it up. And it's just, it's just not very friendly. And it's such a difficult puzzle that, it's just not a place for it. And not to mention, it's just all algs when you're solving it. It's just all algs. And that's just not very interesting. There's no intuition or anything. It's just alg, sort of thing. Now, 4 blind's another event that takes up a lot of time at competitions and is long, and it's basically very similar to 3x3, blindfolded. So, does it really add much? I mean, it takes a lot of time, it's taking times away from more popular events, it's just, it's basically the same as another event, so, it's not that interesting at all, is it? And then 6x6, it's kind of like how 7 and 6 are similar, it's just extended 5x5, and the same people good at 5x5 are good at 6x6, and there's not much difference in solving it. People got very excited at the release of 6x6s and 7x7s back in 2008 by V cubes, and so they added it perhaps a bit too quickly. So it takes a lot of time. It's like, do you want longer events? It takes time up at competitions. It's boring for people to watch. So there's not really much reason to keep it now, is there? And 5x5, well, I mean, how many big cubes do you need? I mean, people, well, they did switch to Yao and 4x4, now that's starting to happen to 5x5. It's sort of, it makes 5x5 more redundant, doesn't it? Because now you're solving it in the same way as 4x4. It's kind of like, you only need one cube bigger than a 3x3, otherwise it's just kind of the same thing, just getting bigger and bigger and bigger, right? There's not much reason for that at all. And then there's 3 blind and Mega Minx and 4x4, and it's kind of like, well, now you've got to think, what do you want to focus on in the future of cubing? And to grow it needs to be much more spectator friendly. So some events, they're just too long. These 2 events, they take, a lot longer than these 2 to solve. This one's like low 20s, mid 20s sort of thing. This one's in the 30s, and this one's kind of like just solving a 3x3 but extended, so it's kind of similar to existing events. So, who needs a Mega Minx? And in terms of spectator events, it's just too long for the non-cubers, as is 4x4. It's too long, you need events to be short. And that applies to 3 blind as well, since half of it you're doing nothing, It's, just too spectator and friendly. So I guess that means that this is the only event we can really have in cubing, since, if you talk about any cube to people, they'll think of this. So I guess, it makes it easier for non-cubing and, just simplifies everything. Just have one event at comps, and I'm sure everyone will be super happy just to have a singular event, and that's it. These all seem like perfectly justifiable reasons to get rid of events, right?